Let me write some memory joggers on the board. Even with the lights off, I think you can still see this a little bit. We're going to talk about 4 parts of the GI tract for your histology quiz that's on the auditorium. Esophagus, stomach, small intestine, but you got to know if it's duodenum, jejunum, ileum, then large intestine or colon. Do that last. And I ask a lot the different layers of mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa and its sublayers, and the serosa or adventitia. This is the esophagus. The esophagus is arranged into, number 1, all of that is mucosa, making number 2, what? Submucosa. 3 and 4 are both what layer? Muscularis externa. 3 and the 4. The 3 is the circular layer. The 4 is longitudinal layer. You can barely see it here. But what must number 5 be? Serosa or adventitia. Get my clicker working here. I think it's over here. So I got labels on, we study. What if I just asked you, where are we in the GI tract? What's the answer? Esophagus. Let's focus in on mucosa. In the esophagus, you have a well-defined epithelium. You should know that epithelium. It's a stratified squamous epithelium. Has the function of protection. So you swallow a potato chip shard, then it sloughs off the top layers, right? The apical layers and the basal layers will replace it. Number 2, you have a very well-defined lamina propria. Number 3, muscularis mucosa. This is the stomach. Moving on. Now the stomach has different regions. Don't worry about having to identify the different regions of the stomach. It's all stomach. However, going in reverse, 1, serosa, 2, muscularis externa, 3, submucosa, making 4, mucosa. Other things I like about this slide, let's see here. There's unlabeled. This is focusing in on the mucosa. 1, muscularis mucosa. 2, if it's pointing deep in the mucosa, that's gastric gland, gastric pit. Once again, gastric gland, gastric pit, the mucosa. This is still stomach. 1, it starts with muscularis externa, 1, 2, 3. Let's recall that the muscle in the stomach has 3 layers. Longitudinal, circular, oblique for 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, submucosa. Number 5, that's all mucosa. Now I don't point to it, but that could be a gastric pit, and deep inside is the gastric gland. Moving on, that was stomach. This is small intestine. You're expected to know this is duodenum. Let's look at the layers. Number 1, serosa. 2 and 3 are muscularis externa. That's the circular. That's the circular. That's the. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Number 2 is longitudinal. Number 3 is circular. It always goes inner circular, outer longitudinal. Okay. Number 4, submucosa. I might have you identify this gland. It's Brunner's glands. That's how you know you're in the duodenum. Brunner's glands are there. Number 5 is mucosa. Okay, you could call all of these villi. And then deep inside are the intestinal crypts. although I like to use this slide for that. This is jejunum, but we're only looking at mucosa. The big finger, number 2, villi. Villi means finger shape, that's why I said that. But deep inside the mucosa are the intestinal crypts. I think I have on your study guide crypts of Lieberkuhn with the Paneth cells. If you take a closer look at the crypt, if you see a bunch of red staining cells, those are the Paneth cells in the intestinal crypt for this is jejunum. Okay? The intestinal crypt, the Paneth cells, they secrete things that have a absorptive function. This is not jejunum anymore. This is ileum. And the obvious big thing here, malt. The big purple splotch, malt. Lymphoid tissue packed out with white blood cells. Let's go through the layers. Let's go in reverse. Number 5. You tell me. What layer? Mucosa. What do you think 6 is pointing to? Pink band. MM, muscularis mucosa. Number 3, that's the entire submucosa. The number 4 is the purple splotch, malt. Number 1 and number 2 is the muscle layer. We have circular, longitudinal. Okay. 1 is longitudinal, 2 is circular. That is correct. What part of the small intestine is this? The ileum. What about this? Jejunum. What about this? Duodenum. So it goes duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Ileum's got the malt. We see it in colon too. Here's the colon. Going through the layers, top to bottom. Number 1, mucosa. Number 2, submucosa. 3 and 4 are both the big muscle layer. I don't know, I look at this, I always think of prime rib, big slabs of muscle. Well, anyways, it's circular, longitudinal of the muscularis externa, and that is the serosa. Okay. I have a close-up picture here. Well, actually, this is unlabeled. Here's a submucosal fold. Identify. Malt. Okay. Here's a close-up picture of the mucosa. So you can see the arrangement of the colon mucosa. And I want to highlight, I'll point to one, but look at all the goblet cells. They're so numerous, and they have a very important function in the colon to help have you have a regular bowel movement. I remember one case I heard about, Professor Woolsey, she was telling me about this in her class. I can't remember why the patient lost function of the goblet cells, but because he did, he could not pass his own bowels. He always needed an enema to do it. He couldn't do it himself without the function of the goblet cells. And well, she was a nurse at the time, and she was his nurse to do those enemas, these massive, deep, big enemas. And he only did them like once a month, which is pretty amazing, that you could kind of hold that much feces there. I saw a cadaver when I was doing a cadaver lab at the coroner's office, and we dissected this person. I don't know the case history. The rectum was so big, it was like literally this big, and I'm not exaggerating. And we were scared to go near it. We didn't want to nick that thing and see what was inside, right? But anyways, it taught me that the distal colon can hold a lot of feces. So anyways, Professor Woolsey would go and give this guy these massive enemas once a month. And the remarkable thing about that case is not that he needed the enemas only once a month. It was that he kept it a secret from his family for decades. His wife and kids never found out that this nurse was coming over for extended hours and he was getting these enemas. He didn't want it to be a burden to his family. I thought that was more remarkable. You know, she tells a story how like the guy would write her a check, and she kind of laughs and you know what this looks like, right? You're writing me a check in your bedroom. So she always made sure that the guy put RN, you know, it's legit. But anyways, that case always reminded me I should teach you that these are important in the colon. Goblet cell. And you just have to identify it, I guess. All right. That prepares you for the quiz.